Hello, welcome to JA Good Company Live. My name is Asheesh Advani. I'm your host from JA Worldwide. I'm so delighted to have this opportunity to be part of this launch of this new experience called JA Good Company Live. For those of you who've been waiting patiently online, I'm very thankful. We have a great show for you today. We are launching the Global Business Hall of Fame. And we're honoring our first laureates in the Global Business Hall of Fame, building on the success of the Business Hall of Fame that JA started in 1975. So one of the purposes of today's show is to introduce you to Sheikha, Hanadi Thani, and to Boris Kolev, who are two laureates who've been inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. My colleague Sarah has interviewed Boris, and I'll be interviewing the Sheikha live today with all of you listening. So this format that we're introducing, JA Good Company Live, builds on our thought leadership magazine, JA Good Company, which for the past few years has been introducing the JA community to thought leaders from all around the world. And it's, I think, very consistent for us to be doing this now with the new normal, the new reality of connecting with our audiences globally, using video channels and social media channels, because everyone's working from home, and we frankly have information to share with you that's best done in this format. So with Sheikha Hanadi waiting, I'm so delighted to be able to introduce her to all of you, and for you to see some of the accomplishments that she's had over the course of her life. As we reflected on this Global Business Hall of Fame that JA has led for so many years, we realized that we'd really, in the past, been honoring, largely American leaders and frankly, largely men. And as the world of business has changed, so has JA, and so has the Business Hall of Fame. So I was just so happy that the voting jury from all over the world selected the Sheikha, because I truly believe that she's a role model for all the young people who are thinking about how to plan for the rest of their lives and do something that's truly impactful and aligned to purpose, not just business and making money. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Sheikha Hanadi. Welcome, Sheikha.
Hello, Asheesh. Hello, everyone from around the world. I am so honored to be here. I'm so happy to be with a friend, a long-term friend, but as well to be inside your homes, inside your offices, speaking to you, and hopefully giving you some kind of tips on how do we achieve our successes in the future.
Well, I'm going to start with a really simple question for you, which is, please tell us about your background, tell us about your career.
Well, Asheesh, I'm an economist. I studied economics at university and then got my first degree in economics. I have a master's of economics. And actually, my career path has changed all through my life. So after becoming a lecturer of economics and writing a lot about economic problems, I decided to do something about it. So I actually went into my first venture, which was establishing an advisory firm for women. It was like an investment club for women. It was called the Qatar Ladies Investment Company. And at the time, I was working in a very male-dominated environment. And it was very difficult for a woman to be in the finance field, let alone to be advising on investments and long-term planning, long-term financial planning, and promoting financial literacy. So it was quite a difficult path, but as well that opened up an opportunity that we established the first licensed investment company in Qatar. So that was a first, and then it was the first women's only investment company in the MENA region. And since then, it was and still is a very bumpy road. With every business opportunity, with every success comes a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities. I have some failures as well to have been blessed with, because they taught me even more than my successes. And they've brought me into this career that actually is resilient. I believe if one thing I would have to describe myself is that I'm a very resilient person. I've been through a lot all through my careers. I've been blessed in seeing opportunities and opening up ventures, and then seeing them grow and seeing them flourish. But not only that, always thinking about my social responsibility, thinking about what am I doing towards my society, about giving others the same opportunities that I have, and how can I be a catalyst of change within the environment I was in. And thus comes my affiliation with Injaz. I established the equivalent of junior achievement, the affiliate of junior achievement in Qatar, which is Injaz Qatar, 15 years ago, and then went on to be on the board of Injaz Al Arab, which is the regional arm of junior achievement in the Middle East. And I am very privileged to be within your board of trustees as well. So that is something that I am very proud of. Within my career path, whatever happened, I was always finding a way to learn more, to find out how I can change for the better, hopefully, the environment I was in, the society I was in, and how do I pay back? How do I share my experience? How do I encourage others to take the path less traveled, if we can say? I never looked for the easy ways in establishing a business that is, a smaller business or a more normalized business. I've always looked for these challenges in my life. And just to make it more interesting, I'm a mother of three. So I had to as well establish a work-life balance. And I think that is what kept me sane. Because if you are an entrepreneur, if you are quite passionate about what you do, you find yourself sometime in this dilemma of who am I? Am I an entrepreneur? Do I have a life of my own? What is it? So it's both of these personalities, and I think they are one personality, because an entrepreneur is someone that finds new ways to do things. So I'm an entrepreneur as a mother, and then I'm an entrepreneur in my business, and I'm an entrepreneur in my social as well quest. So I think this is, in a nutshell, this tells you a bit about me.
Well, I'm so fascinated by your career, because not only have you been an entrepreneur and really one of the first really successful female entrepreneurs from your country, particularly in the investment world, but now you're giving back by helping inspire young people to learn these skills. So in your mind, how do you teach entrepreneurship to a 14, 15-year-old? What do you do to instill that sense of confidence?
I think it's a very important question. And I would be lying to tell you if it's one thing or another. It's a whole ecosystem that goes hand by hand. So it's how a mother treats her kids at home, how she aspires them to do, how she encourages them to ask questions, to do things in another way, and to understand what their thinking is. But it's as well, it's the schooling system, our education system. How do we get them to learn more? And then it's a bit more, because it's soft skills that we can capture by our daily lives. In some areas where you would encourage the youth to work in summers, where you would encourage people to have financial literacy from a very young age, this is where they start creating this entrepreneurship mindset. In other places, you have to have a helping hand. And this is where JA Worldwide comes as a very important part of this ecosystem that we're speaking about. Through promoting these soft skills, through promoting how do I become successful? What are the soft skills that can help me just a notch with my education, with my background, with all my social skills? How do I become someone who is seeking success, working towards it, being very adamant towards it? And as well, financial literacy is a very important aspect within entrepreneurship, because for an enterprise to be successful, it has to generate some enough profit to make sure that it's sustainable. If it's a social enterprise, if it's a profit-seeking enterprise, it has to maintain itself. So the finances behind it are very important. And as well, there are, as I mentioned, these little skills on how do I stay the route. I'm going to have failures. Everyone will face a failure. How do I stand up? How do I go back? How do I manage my time? How do I balance my career with my life? So for a 16-year-old, for a 14-year-old, it's this ecosystem that can create entrepreneurship. But that doesn't mean that our forefathers were not entrepreneurs. They didn't have formal education. Maybe in my case, they didn't have formal education. They didn't have the opportunities, but the need to do something, the need to establish themselves, they became entrepreneurs.
Well, the MENA region, which you're more familiar with than even I am, has a unique set of both challenges and opportunities around entrepreneurship. Can you maybe speak to a little bit about what's unique about either the MENA region or Qatar specifically on teaching entrepreneurship?
Well, Asheesh, when we speak about the MENA region, it's a region that houses more than 600 million people. So it's very difficult to capture all of their needs and to capture everything in one. It's like speaking about Africa as one continent without looking at the specifications of every country. So the MENA region has its similarities, but as well has a lot of differences. But one important aspect in the MENA region is that we have a very big bulge of youth. And we have very high unemployment within the youth. In some areas it reaches around 29%. But as well, we are a very unstable economical and political situation. So we house the biggest migrants of populations in the world. Around 57% of the world migrant population is in the MENA region. Add to that, most of them live in very hostile countries. So it's a very difficult aspect to say that we want to encourage the youth in the MENA region without giving them the opportunities, without catering for every need within that, every segment within that region in a specific way. I tell you one thing, we're speaking about the whole MENA region as this is one of the most adamant problems, the migrant problem, the unemployment problems. In some areas in the MENA region, you have complacency, you have this lack of initiative as the main problem of the youth in that area. And it's catering for that segment and this segment in the right way. This is why in the affiliate of JA Worldwide in Jaz Al Arab, we not only have the overall umbrella of JA presence over 13 countries, but as then we have localized in each country, we have a localized team to understand the different challenges within that society, within that country. And then we give them all of the Rolodex of JA Worldwide, different solutions that we come out with, and then they cater for their own needs from that Rolodex. It's quite an interesting dilemma, because if you look at this youth bulge within the MENA region as one of the biggest challenges ahead us, I see it as one of the biggest opportunities that can come in anyone's way. We have a youthful population that is looking towards a better tomorrow. How can't we be responsible to offer them these solutions, to offer them a helping hand in going through that? So this is where our role as JA Worldwide, as Injaz Al Arab, as Injaz in every country in the MENA region, this is our role to come up with ideas, with solutions. How do we ignite the passion of the youth? How do we make them accept and dream of a better tomorrow and to work towards it. This is a very important aspect.
Well, you talked about youth unemployment being 28%, 29% in some parts of the region. I just want to empathize with you because what's happening around the world in every region is unemployment rates are going up during this crisis. And as we think about the impact that JA can have, Injaz can have in the MENA region, it really is about changing mindsets at the right time in somebody's life to make them think of themselves as capable of not just being an entrepreneur, but really being a job creator. Somebody who's able to be an economic agent of change and create a job for themselves and for others. And I fundamentally believe that, we now have over 100 million living JA alumni. Just imagine if we had every single one of our alumni think of themselves as a job creator, where they could create just 5 jobs. That's 500 million jobs for the world. And I think that's the kind of scale, the benefit of scale that JA can bring. I guess I'd like to get your perspective on if you believe that JA should be trying to reach more youth in order to sort of leverage this scale, or if you think we should focus more and be more sort of narrow in our focus. I'd love to get your perspective.
Asheesh, just looking into the screen, I'm sitting here at my home in Qatar and you're sitting in your home in Boston. None of us today has a responsibility towards our direct community or only our direct community or our direct problems. This is what as well COVID-19, this period of uncertainty, of this new change of life, the new normal that is being presented. This era brought in the unemployment, the question marks about growth, the question marks about the tomorrow, but as well opened up the boundaries. How can we establish cross-border initiatives? How can we be more responsible? I was saying, all of us are local in domicile. We live in our local societies and communities, but we are global in responsibility. The unemployment question is a global question. And I think, as you said, we have the alumni of all JA worldwide. This is a big wave that can create so much change. Everyone in their society, everyone in their community. If a small change happens, this is what an impactful wave of change that will come over the world. And this is the beauty of JA Worldwide. It is a worldwide initiative. It is calling for a worldwide audience with a worldwide responsibility to go into their local presence and to present these solutions that we have worked at, we've seen, we've proven, and they are an amazing aspect. The beauty of JA Worldwide, really the actual beauty, is that when you see a student go through these courses, or when you see the webinars that we're doing, and most of the countries today have changed. It's amazing, the adaptability of our programs. We went from programs only being presented in schools to programs presented in the web to everyone to see. And the amazing thing is that this aha moment, when you see someone says, okay, then I can do it. Then I can achieve more, then I can start my own business, then I can employ others. This is the beauty of JA Worldwide. And as you said, it's the numbers. It started as small. You start with 10 students, 100 students, 1,000 students, and then it becomes a big wave where you have millions of students. And the Arab world, we're aspiring to reach 1 million students per year. And I think this is a goal that I will have to see in my lifetime. And this is, a big shout for the Injaz al-Arab team. I think we can do it. I think we can reach 100 million students per year. It's just a question of how do we think of different ways to get the message through, to get to students, to get to the youth in a way where it is acceptable to them and where it adapts to their needs as well. So I'm actually very optimistic. I've seen it in action. I've seen Injaz Qatar, Injaz al-Arab, JA Worldwide in action. We have a force. We have a force to be reckoned with. And I think through the alumni, through our students, through our rocks around the world, we can do it. It's just how do we tweak it? And we're open. I think, Asheesh, you brought something amazing to the organization. This flexible feel, this adaptable feel. I can adapt and I can be flexible with the programs that I have, and I can adapt them to certain situations that I have. And I think this is one of our greatest initiatives.
Well, thank you, Sheikha. I will say that it's a perfect segue to talk about the power of alumni to actually now transition to the interview that my colleague Sarah did with Boris Kolev, who's another laureate and an alumnus. So you will be able to see a Bulgarian entrepreneur who learned from JA and actually has achieved success. And then please stay with us. I've got a few more questions for you after we come back.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so thrilled and excited for this first ever JA Good Company Live. And Asheesh already introduced you to one laureate of the Global Business Hall of Fame, and I'm very excited to introduce you to Boris Kolev. He's in the innovator category of the Global Business Hall of Fame. Welcome, Boris.
Hello. Thank you for welcoming me.
Boris is a JA alum, so his entrepreneurial journey started very, very early. Boris, you started the JA program when you were, I think, in 8th grade back in Bulgaria. Can you walk us through your experience?
Totally. I think I was 13 or 12, not sure, because 8th grade is somewhere there. Yeah. One day, one of the teachers walked into our room and said, "Oh, there is this extracurriculum activity that you signed up for, and now you're gonna do business." And we said, "What? We're 13. What is this?" And then it was very interesting because they gathered us in one room and said, "Now you have to invent a product or a service." And it started like this. It was one of the best things we did in school. Besides that, everyone went to play football and tennis and everything, but this was amazing. And we started inventing stuff. Before this in school, we never invented anything. We were just learning. And this is how it started. It was amazing.
So what was the product or the service you did back when you were 13 in school?
Basically, the first year, we do the same thing like the grown-ups in before. So we do some advertising stuff, advertising services for the school, like pictures, like and it wasn't that boring, but we learned a lot. So the next year we actually wanted to invent our own thing. And what happened that we invented something very interesting, probably all around the world now. You've seen this square square CDs. Like you know the CDs are normally round. But there is a type of CDs which is actually square, and it's in the size of business card. We actually did this by accident. We started cutting square round CDs, and it turned out that if the center of gravity is in the middle, they actually work. So we started to do this as business cards, started to print it on top. One of the companies in Stara Zagora, they agreed to produce it with a specific form. So we actually invented the CD business cards back then. They had 50 megabytes. And with this product, we actually won the national competition. And next year we'll become third in Europe with this idea. It was amazing. It was 2000 and I don't remember, 4.
I mean, this is incredible. Imagine you being in school, they throw this idea at you that you have to kind of produce something, a product service, and then you can come up with this. So, and I know, because we know each other very well, that after your JA experience, you just said, you came third in Europe, that you didn't stop there. I feel like the JA is a very, very big part of your life ever since. So can you walk us through a bit, what happened after you had, these amazing experience with the JA office, with the JA program, and then at the European finals? What did you do afterwards?
Afterwards, I became more and more involved with JA. I joined the alumni club because they were just forming up the local alumni club in Bulgaria. I joined at the office as a volunteer because I was helping with some work, some computer stuff. The next year we actually started something like a web design agency. So we when we were back in school, so we started producing websites. We did the school website, and we actually did the J Bulgaria first website as a volunteers. It was an amazing experience. So yes, this is how it happened, and I got involved more and more. I joined the alumni. I was first the PR manager of the local club. Then I was elected as a president 2 years later, and then I joined. I stayed in the J family ever since.
So, and I mean, besides you staying in the JA family, I feel like this whole entrepreneurial spirit you learned in the JA program really, you know, like is life-changing for you because you are a serial entrepreneur. You've been in the Forbes 30 under 30 and all the other amazing achievements. So, and I know, you know, that you're, you know, don't like to talk about your incredible achievements, but we would really love to, you know from your side, you know, how many startups did you ever kind of found? Do you even remember that?
Oh, it's hard because at a certain point I started just funding and just helping them, but probably they're 11 or 12. And it's not everything is startups. Some of them were just service companies. Like we had a marketing agency, we had the web design agency, which is still existing. We had a BTL, it's an event agency, which we closed. We had a company for Bluetooth marketing before the iPhone came out, which is also not existing anymore. We had a scent marketing company, which is using the smell and the scent for advertising, which is also closed now. Lots and lots of tryouts, which were successful in the time, but then the business stopped, so we closed them and we get to the next thing. Digimark was one of the fastest growing software companies in the country, and we got acquired 2 years ago. So it was one of the successful ventures where we exited for one other reason. So it's interesting. And now actually I'm focused in creating Digimark Ventures, which is a very micro VC. So we're helping startups. We have 6 startups in the portfolio now, which we sometimes fund with money. Sometimes we fund with development power from the software team, which is also turns into money at the end of the day. So yeah, and also I'm involved in lots of nonprofit activities, like CSR Bulgaria is the national network for CSR and a sustainability network, which we found 10 years ago when I was 19, and it's still growing. And yeah, lots and lots of things. But most of the important thing is that everything is social oriented. Every company and project that I'm involved to, it tend to be oriented in a social product or helping community or helping nature, or like even if it's a software company, you can turn it out that you can help everyone by just doing software projects and social things.
Yeah, I mean, I love the approach, and I'm sure everybody now knows why you're in the innovator category, because that's basically what you do all the time, right? You're just like kind of jumping from one to another, trying to improve the things, you know, and help, you know, the society, which is so incredible. So I would love to know, what was your most emotional part of this entire entrepreneurship journey so far?
Oh, there are lots of emotional parts. The most emotional when you receive some awards, but that's not actually the goal where you do it for. The most emotional thing was when we received thank you letters for social project that we helped someone or we changed someone's life. I have a very, very quick example. A few years ago, we produced a very simple mobile app, which was for connecting blood donors with volunteers. It's a very simple thing. It took us like 2 weeks to produce it. Then we presented to the public for free. Like no one is paying, not the government, no one. It was just our social project. And after a few months, we started receiving letters from people who were in emergency blood need, and they through our app they found donors, and we started receiving letters like thank you letters, and like literally our team was starting crying every time. Like this is one of the most emotional stuff in my career, because it's not the words, it's not the money, but when you change someone's life, even if it's one person, that's really why we do this for.
Oh gosh, now I also start crying. I'm like, yes, it's so amazing. And I mean,
and imagine a simple app, like that's nothing.
I feel like what JA stands for, no matter where we are in the world, everybody wants to do something bigger, better, and help, you know, this world to become a better place at the end of the day. So I would love to close our very short but amazing conversation with, what advice would you give your 12-year-old self back in school before you knew whatever, you know, happens the next years after you finish your JA program?
Oh, I don't know. Don't hesitate that much, because I was hesitating lots in decisions. Don't hesitate that much, and try again and try again and try more. That's my advice, because when we were young, all the failures was just for free. We were just working in a lab environment, in like test conditions. You can do mistakes which cost nothing. Now my mistakes cost money, cost people lost jobs, cost lost companies. But back then it was amazing experience, and we're learning lots of skills. So just try and don't give up.
So from my side, a huge congratulations to you again, to be, you know, in this literally full JA life cycle of starting back in school, doing all the things, being involved till now, and now being one of the amazing laureates for our Global Business Hall of Fame. Thank you so much, Boris, and I hope to see you very soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, welcome back. That was a fascinating interview. Sheikha and Hanadi, I want to get your reactions, particularly to that last question. You know, here you've got an innovative entrepreneur who started 11 to 12 companies and tries to build social purpose into all of them. His most recent company was acquired. You know, as we reflect on the current generation of entrepreneurs, I guess what I'd love to ask you is kind of the same question Sarah asked Boris, which is, what advice would you give your 12-year-old self? And then would you modify that advice based on what advice you're giving to your kids? We've got many people listening in who've got kids and would love to learn what advice you're giving to your daughters.
Sheikha, I believe your microphone might be muted. Take a look in the top right and see if you've muted that microphone.
Audio. Let's see if we can get the Sheikha's audio back as we try to ask her the advice she'd give her kids.
Asheesh, this is Brent, the producer in Austin, Texas. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty with that audio. Why don't we move on? I know we've got some questions from the audience that maybe we can get to while we try to get her back.
So why don't we go on to the questions that we've received from our audience, and also encourage listeners to potentially, for future segments, go to jaworldwide.org/live for questions that you can provide to us. So for future segments, we can be responsive to what's on your mind. I know that there are two questions we've already received. Here are my notes. One of them is quite easy, and one of them is quite difficult. The easy one is, what's new at JA? What are you doing to respond to the crisis? It's a difficult thing to do, but an easy thing to answer, which is, we operate in over 100 countries, and our model lends itself to being very responsive to what's happening in schools right now, because our model is taking the best of local innovations and elevating them to be shared globally. So what's happening at the local level is almost on a school by school basis. There's different ways in which entrepreneurship education is still being introduced. So for example, in some schools, we're partnering in a fully digital format. In other schools, we're actually using blended learning to reach kids both in class if they have hybrid and out of school. And I will say, it's the importance of JA now. I think school systems have recognized that more than even in past years, financial literacy education, entrepreneurship education, and work readiness education are critical to prepare young people to have that confidence and that resilience to get through difficult times such as this, and to be part of, you know, hopefully solving the economic crises of today and tomorrow. So I will say, what JA has really done is we've really been adapting our programming to be sort of conducive to the new formats where young people are learning in remote environments. For example, we are introducing students to volunteers and corporate leaders and role models using technology, as opposed to just doing so in person, what we call virtual volunteering, and using platforms such as Localized in the Middle East, where the Sheikha is from, which allows young people to connect with volunteers, potentially even in another country, which in the past we haven't been able to do as easily because we've really been more of an in-person model. So the short answer to your question is we're adapting to convert our programming to work in a digital format, but it really varies quite substantially country by country and even school by school. The second question we got is much tougher. I'll read it to you. It is the future of capitalism. So capitalism is showing its limitations, especially as the wealth gap widens. What's the future of capitalism in the context of JA? Now, that is a much tougher question. And I guess I'll answer in the best way I can answer, but I really am no expert on this topic. I'll say, as I interact with board members around the world, I think we've all realized the limits of unbridled capitalism creates inequality. And I think we're all wrestling with what to do with that statement of truth. I don't think it's controversial. That's what the data shows. And I see sort of three reactions. One reaction is, we have to defend capitalism from people who are detractors. So it's a very protective approach to this. I think the second is to redefine capitalism to be more inclusive. So for example, training young people to be purpose-driven, a bit like what you heard Boris say, where many of his ventures had a social impact component. So prepare young people to be like Boris and in really thinking of business and purpose as coming together. And the UN Global Goals really helps make that possible by being very clear about what the world's problems are that we can make progress on collectively. It's a hop, step, and jump to connect young people to the UN Global Goals, but that's in many ways, I think, an opportunity which JA has, that inclusive form of capitalism. The third response I see is actually looking for structural changes to make capitalism more inclusive. For example, the B Corp movement, where we actually have legal structures now that enable entrepreneurs and business owners who run companies to not just look for shareholder interests first, but to look for shareholder interests and societal interests in equal measure using a legal structure, which is the B corporation versus a C corporation or the S corporation. So I see all three responses, and I think it really depends across JA and how we're responding as to which board is sort of advocating to which of the three. My view is they're all important, but I think taking a defensive approach probably is not the most productive for the long run, recognizing that we have to both make structural changes and also prepare young people to really understand that the role of business is to be a force for good in society. I think that's our social obligation at JA, to advocate both for structural change and also to prepare young people for what I believe is going to be the future of work. So it was a tough question, but I did the best I could. So please, I invite you to ask more questions by going to jaworldwide.org/live. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of JA Good Company Live. And I hope you enjoyed hearing from the Sheikha and from Boris. Thank you to my colleagues. Thank you to Sarah, Rapp. Thank you to Lori Nogel, to Terry Stauffer, to Aaron Sawyer, and to the team at Get Creative Leverage and Methods. We don't have the benefit of having a credit screen, so I wanted to thank everyone personally. I hope you tune in next time. Bye-bye.